So welcome back, everyone. Lovely to see you all as always. And let's start by going straight into the superpower state. So take a deep breath and either close your eyes or leave them open, whichever you prefer. And go into your superpower state however you normally do that. Using your word or phrase, or your anchor, or focusing in on everything you love and appreciate about your subject. Feel your heart opening, your chest expanding as you do that. That expansion feeling in your heart. And allow that light or energy to shine out from you. Very good. Now allow that light or energy to spread down to your toes, up to the top of your head and out to your fingertips. So you're now full of that light, that energy, that love. Good job. Now allow that light or energy to fill each of the 50 trillion cells that make up your body. Love each cell just for existing. Very good. And now allow that light or energy to fill the little you, yourself as a child, any age. Loving that child just for existing. And then allow that light, that energy to shine out from that little you and fill your whole childhood. Shining that light into any darkness, filling everything, everyone, every event, every circumstance, every experience. Feeling your power as you do that. Good job. And now allow that light, that energy to overflow from you and fill everyone in the group today. All those who are on camera, all those who are off camera today, loving each one just for existing. Very good. All right, you can open your eyes. And let's check in with each person, find out how you're all doing. So Katrina, you're first up on my screen. How are you today? Lovely to see you.
Oh, thank you, Odile. Okay. Where do we start? I think, okay, do you want me to start with that? Okay. The two things actually run in together, so I don't know. Okay. So there was the sentence, when others make me feel bad, I used to beat them up and I used to beat myself up. No,
okay.
Yeah.
And so I know you mentioned that before we started recording, and I wanted to address it on camera or on the recording, because I know that a lot of this is something a lot of people deal with. So when we feel someone makes us feel something, no one else has the ability to make us feel anything, because what we feel is the sensation of chemicals inside our own bodies. And no matter what anybody does, they can't climb inside unless they inject us with something, right? If they inject us with something, then they can make us feel something, absolutely. Or of course, if they physically, connect with us, if they give us a clout or punch us or something, then they can absolutely make us feel pain. Even then, the pain is coming from inside, not from outside. So when someone triggers us and we feel an emotional reaction, so someone does something that makes me feel bad, makes me feel, angry, upset, hurt, betrayed, all of those feelings, they don't have the ability to create that inside me. So what's happening in real time is my brain, my subconscious is referring to whatever evidence it has that this is the reaction that I need to have right now. And then it's producing those stress chemicals inside me, and which are creating those feelings. And then of course, as I think about those feelings and the details, I'm producing more and more of those stress chemicals. But it's all happening inside me. Now, if with different references, that person could say or do exactly the same thing, and I have no reaction, or I find it funny, or I feel sorry for them. And it all depends on what's happening inside me. Does that make sense so far, Katrina?
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
Good. Okay, good. So thank you for bringing that up, because that's really important. So what is your question around that?
I would say so. So it's, you have been working with that new girl, Sadia?
Yes.
So this is sort of me working in the background. I've come up with this. I'm a little child. I want to ask for help, but she can't. Too scared. Sometimes here. All her life, she starts something but does not finish it. Sometimes I ask for help, but I actually need more help. It's still not clear.
Right.
So I ask for help, yeah, and then you give me help, but I still do not understand. So was left feeling stupid and annoyed. And probably the teacher was also upset and annoyed that I didn't get it. So where's the problem, oh dear?
All right, very good, Katrina. Thank you for bringing this up. Okay, so of course, we don't know why the teacher was annoyed, but one of the many options are she could have been frustrated with herself because she hasn't been able to get the point across or be understood or whatever. So there's all kinds of options there. So the annoyance of the teacher had absolutely nothing to do with you. It was not you that caused it. It was her own references, her own programming that caused whatever she was feeling. So you have a memory of this, or just something that you kind of suspect?
Yes, just well, primary school, grammar school, you name it, all sorts of places. Would want help, would go to this, but want help, but I know I had it in my head, and they'll give me help, but I'll not understand it, so forget about it. You know that feeling?
Yes, I know it well. I know it very well. And I had similar experiences in school. So, all right. So one of the things is to go back, of course, and change those references. And I would change it to, I would do a stepping stone where you ask for help, you get some help, but it's not enough, or it's not what you need, or you still have more questions. So you are, and in fact, what I would do, stepping stone, the teacher asks you. The teacher says, now, does that answer your question, or do you still have more questions? Do you still need more clarity? And you say, I need more. And she says, okay. And she gives you whatever you need. All right. So that's a stepping stone. It's a very important one. Practice it until it feels established. And then the final memory is, so then the next stepping stone, she doesn't ask you, she gives you whatever she gives you. And then you stand up and say, I need more. I don't understand this bit, or can you explain it again, or whatever, and you feel comfortable doing that. And she says, yes, of course, well done for asking, because so many people don't ask and then they never find out, but you asking is going to help other children as well. So thank you, Katrina. And I want you to all take note of how Katrina has the confidence to ask for what she needs. And you're going to need those skills later in life, whatever that is, make it really good. And then the final memory is that you don't need, you know everything. You get it straight away. Teacher explains it, you get it. Perhaps other people are asking, and that's okay. All right, but those stepping stones are crucial because they're separate pieces of data in your subconscious. Does that help to explain that part of it?
Yes, brilliant. Thank you.
Good. Very good. You're welcome. And now we want to just check with the emotions. So that feeling from those memories, is there negative emotion there right now, or has that dissipated?
I think there's something there because that program has held, the whole life, held me back.
Yes, very good. So let's ask now, what's the worst thing about that? What's the worst thing about that program has held you back all your life? What's triggering the emotion there?
I suppose the annoyance of getting it's I don't know, it's
okay, that's all right.
A waste of life, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a wasted life. Very good. So I want you to feel that feeling right now of the wasted life, and without giving it any meaning, any more meaning than it already has, I want you to notice where in your body you feel that feeling of it's a wasted life. And whereabouts do you feel that feeling? Where's the sensation, the physical sensation?
Again, it's here in the throat.
The throat. Yes. Yeah. Good job. And so now let's just home in on that physical sensation without any meaning. It's just get curious about what that sensation feels like and allow it to be there. It's okay that your throat feels that way. It's absolutely okay. There's no judgment. There's no meaning to it. We don't need to make it stop or change. Are you able to do that?
Yeah. This thing about children should be seen and not heard.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know that one well. Yes, yes. So do you have a memory of being told that or learning that children should be seen and not heard?
No, we were always told before we were speaking not to speak.
That's right. Yes, that's a brilliant one. Very strong one, and one that a lot of us have, including myself. So, or did have. So you want to, of course, change it to, so I'll give you an example of one of my new memories was because we were, don't be so stupid. Don't ask stupid questions. It was that kind of thing. You should know. It's like magically you should know. So I changed mine to just scenes of my family, my grandparents and my mum, they're speaking to us and then saying, now, any questions? And for me, that was a big shift where every time they said anything told us anything, they would say, okay, so any questions? And then we would be able to ask questions and they would answer patiently. So like I do in these sessions, using that as a reference for parents and grandparents and whoever was there, teachers, definitely, where they always encourage. So any questions, never feel shy to ask questions. It's very, very important to ask questions because that's how we learn. And I would much rather you tell me if you have a question or you need more clarity or explanation than that, you go off and you don't know. It's very, so that they're reiterating and making it, because that's the truth as well as it happens. As it happens, everyone should feel comfortable and be encouraged to ask questions and ask for clarity until they fully understand whatever it is they need to understand. Does that make sense, Katrina?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So you allow, you create those memories. You can, now, if you have memories of the opposite, of course, change them to the opposite, positive, empowering, and then create brand new ones like I did there, where they're just going, okay, so anybody have a question? And when you ask a question, you're praised. and they say, well done for asking. I'm so glad you asked that question, because, you know, and you can add stuff to it depending on how much detail you want, but you can add things like, oh, I'm so glad you asked that, sweetie, because, you know, I hadn't thought of mentioning it, or I'd forgotten to say, so thank you, Katrina, for asking that question. That kind of thing. Make sense?
Yes, perfectly.
And good. And for everybody, creating those kinds of memories should hopefully feel really real and easy to do, because it's the truth, because it's the way that everybody, you know, deserves to be treated. And it's true. The only reason that adults behave, or anybody behaves that way when somebody asks a question, you know, behaves in a negative way when someone asks for a question or asks clarity, is because of their own stress, their own programs, their own insecurities, their own doubts in themselves, and or time pressure. You know, it's all to do with them. It's nothing to do with us or the asking of the question. Make sense?
Yes, yes.
Good. And what was your second question? Or was that?
The other thing was, what do I do instead? What do I do when others make me feel bad? Rather than beating them up and beating myself up, I should love and praise them now.
Beautifully put. Basically, yes. No. Okay. So the first step, and thank you again for asking this, because this is good for everybody. The first step in changing from blaming others and yourself for how they make you feel. First step is reminding yourself consciously that how you feel has nothing to do with them, and vice versa. How you feel is all about, it's like if you've got a coat on and you feel too hot, and then you're saying, and somebody else, perhaps they have a coat on or whatever, and you're going, can you take that coat off? I'm too hot. Right? They could leave the coat on, they could take it off. It's not going to change how you feel, because it's the coat on you that's making you feel hot. So you could leave them there with their coat or without their coat, whatever they're doing, doesn't matter, and you take your own coat off. And then you can feel the temperature you want to feel without needing their cooperation. And that's the important bit, because as long as you're seeing it through the perception that someone else is making you feel something or not making you feel something, that's very disempowering, because you have to wait for them. You have to rely on them to do something or not do something, or you have to make yourself not be triggered by it. You know, you have to go, well, they're making me, but I'm not going to react, and that, which is a coping tool that a lot of people use. The fantastic, empowering thing is recognizing it's my own chemistry that's doing this, and I have the power to change it. And it's the references. So it's the chemistry prompted by the references. So the first thing I can do is change my state right now, how I feel, by changing my focus. In other words, thinking of hugging my subject, or even just thinking of my favorite color, whatever that is. So, sorry, I'm flitting about. So step one is recognizing that they can't make you feel anything unless they're physically touching you. Step one, that it's your own chemicals and your own references. Step two is choosing your focus in that moment. And even if that is just thinking of your favorite color and being surrounded by your favorite color. Step three, the final step, is changing those memories and doing whatever needs to be done. So this person is triggering me. What is it about what they're doing or saying that's making me feel whatever this is? That's the first thing. Second question is, how does that feel? So what is this feeling? The worst thing about it. And then third question, of course, where in my childhood did I feel the same feeling? Maybe a different topic, but will be the same feeling, and change those memories. Now, if you can't find that, or in addition to that, who does this person remind me of from my childhood? Because sometimes it's that this person's doing the same thing my mother, father, grandparent, teacher did. And then changing them, even if they did change, you'd find someone else to play that role until you change that reference. So you got to change the reference of whoever that is in your childhood, and then this person will either change, or something will happen that they're no longer in your life, or you're no longer around them when they're in that mood, or whatever. But it's not going to affect whatever happens. You will be in your experience of that person will change one way or another, because you won't have that reference anymore. You may find yourself thinking of things to say to them that solves the problem, or thinking of ideas to no longer have that, or feeling, confident enough to speak up for yourself, or whatever the circumstance is, it will come authentically and naturally without you having to, oh, I should stand up for myself, or I need boundaries, or whatever. You won't need any of that. And which means it'll be much more effective and stronger. Does all of that help?
Yes. I'm looking forward to the recording, because there's a lot of information there, Odile.
Yes. So when you get the recording, you can listen back to it and take notes and that, and follow along. Thank you so much, Katrina, because that is, I can't tell you how much I appreciate the questions from all of you, because it helps to, because we could just create videos like we used to, guessing what people need, but this is so much more powerful, because we're given the guidance really of what is needed. So thank you, and good job, you. Very good. So proud of you.
Okay.
All right. Very good. And Lisa. Hi, Lisa.
Hi there. That was really brilliant, because I had a teacher who used to dig her fingernails in my crown when I wouldn't get any stuff. So I was like, oh, okay. So it makes me go back and change the teachers, like, each teacher that you can remember or recall, and say, hey, you love me, you really love me. Instead, just go through the whole thing.
Now, and then thank you for that specific example, because things like that, where there's a physical experience, like digging fingernails into your scalp, so then it would be good to change. I would, depending on what's there emotion-wise, I would add a stepping stone, where she starts to do that, and someone walks in and goes, no, that is not acceptable, and they stand up for you. It could be you now as the adult walking into that memory, or probably better would be your parents. Your parents walk in and go, what do you think you're doing? How dare you? And whatever needs to be done is done to get justice for that little you. So stepping stone. And then the final memory, as we're saying, where there's something physical, is to change it to something physical that's better. So she could be stroking your hair, or a scalp massage, or whatever would be, whatever would be nice.
Well, I saw her with her finger turning into like E.T. with the light, bing. Okay. something fun like that.
As long as it feels good, yeah.
Yeah. And so
out of her finger is unconditional love.
Yes. That's the best part. So I watched the rest of the movie yesterday with Superhuman. And so I was in the German class with the eyes. I had to sign a paper saying that I couldn't see. You really can't see anything in these masks. So you can access these masks online. They're called Mindfold. And they're only like $10, but it's really amazing, because my eyesight has improved 75% since, using this mask. And so what you do is, I thought of, like, today before the class, the unconditional love in the mask, like, when you're sitting there in the dark, but these lights actually show up when you're seeing in the dark, and you actually start seeing, because it's your brain that's seeing. And I was starting to see 360 degrees behind me and on the side of me. And I thought, wow, okay, that was so cool. So You can do anything.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for sharing that, because I've been very curious about it and I started looking up YouTube videos on it. So yeah, so thank you for sharing that about the masks as well. I'll have a look for those, because that sounds like a lot of fun to do. Definitely.
Yeah, because I saw my teacher on there. I got so excited because, you know, it was in Stuttgart, Germany. It's like an hour and a half in, and you see the kids with the go-karts. Remember that part?
Yes.
They're blindfolded. Yeah, we had to do all kinds of stuff like that, like put balls in cups that we couldn't see. You know what I mean, like that. But she did say something, however, to like one night before, was see yourself doing the outcome, but you could do it in slow motion or fast motion or however you want to. And the next day, I did it in slow motion the night before. And then I woke up doing blindfolded the cups to match the balls. And I did it perfectly. And I was like, whoa, that's cool. So we can do anything, you know.
I love that.
So yeah, you can practice at home and practice walking around, but be safe about it, you know.
Absolutely, yes, of course. Yeah, that goes for everybody. Thank you, Lisa, for sharing that. I love that. Good job.
Thanks.
Right, and then Swasti. Hi, Swasti. How are you today?
Hello, I'm good, thank you.
Good.
Oh yeah. So the thing you said yesterday about following along with the recordings, like sending love to different people's scenarios. That's so powerful. Like if you, it's really interesting because if you do like an experiment, so if you do like a minute with the recording and then a minute without, you can feel the difference. It's so cool.
Very good.
Amping up the superpower.
Oh, good. I'm so glad to hear that. So for anybody who is watching this today and hasn't seen yesterday's one, what Swasti is referring to is the tip of, in order to help you be able to aim unconditional love at what you don't want or what triggers you, in order to help you develop that skill, it's practicing aiming at other people's challenges, like we do in the targeting sections at the end of these videos. So you could watch the end of the video where we target and aim your love at the other people's challenges, and that helps to develop your own ability. So good job, Swasti. I'm so glad that helped.
The one question I have is, I don't know if this makes sense, but I've been feeling stressed by the fact that I'm not stressed about this exam. It's usually every single exam I've done is big. I've never felt good about, but this one I just feel like, yeah, whatever. Like if whatever happens, it happens. I don't know if that's giving up or if that's making peace. So I don't know how to interpret that, and I don't want it to be negative.
All right, so let's look at that. So when you think of the exam and you feel whatever, what emotions are there? How does that feel?
It just feels like I'm trying my best. I'm doing all that I can do. Like I genuinely am. I couldn't do anything more. Like I'm not doing the same as last time. I'm trying to improve my score in ways that I know are effective. So
you're not bothering to prepare, right?
No, I am preparing.
That's right, yes. So so that's how you can tell. So if you had given up, you wouldn't be bothering to do any preparation, right? You would just, whatever, if I fail, I fail. It would be that kind of feeling, right?
No.
Right.
Like
so
I'm doing less work, but that work is more efficient because I'm feeling better about it. So.
Exactly. So there's the difference. So that's how you can tell, no, something definitely has shifted and I am now in a much more empowered position to do better than I've done before, because keeping the prefrontal cortex online. Now, and also consider this, and I think I may have said this before, but it's worth repeating. If you have managed to do what you've done so far without that part of your brain, can you imagine what you can do with that part of your brain?
Yes.
I mean, that's pretty impressive that you've done as much as you have, that you got the scores you did without even having your whole brain online.
That sounds funny when you say that. Yeah, true.
Yeah. So you've had that kind of, what you call it, obstacle. So it's like you've been, you've had a, what do they call it, a handicap in golf, where they go, well, we'll give you extra pole, however golf works, but you start at a disadvantage because you're so good. So you've been at a disadvantage and you've still managed to get the scores you've got. Now we've taken the place. Oh, here we go. It's like you've had a blindfold on and you've been playing without a blindfold. Now you take the blindfold off. Imagine what you can do.
As you say that, I just feel this pressure. I feel like, oh no, what if it doesn't go well now?
Good. Okay, that's good. So let's look at that. So let's say that despite all of this, despite the fact that you've done this work and that you are feeling calmer, you do worse in the scores. What then? What does that mean to you?
Yeah, I think that's another aspect. I contacted the biomedicine people, and I was like, "Will you let me in 2 weeks later?" And starting the course if something goes wrong, and they were like, "Yeah, we can." So I just thought I'll just go to the biomedicine thing.
Okay, and how does that feel to do that? Well, how would that feel when you think about it?
It's not that bad. I will ultimately get in just at a later time.
Right.
Like 3 years later, but
okay. And so so let's go worst case scenario. What's the worst case scenario? Like the very worst that can happen?
So with this exam now, or
yeah, and overall in general?
Well, I'll just never get in, and then I'll do biomedicine and then see what people do from biomedicine. I think it's like working in the lab.
Okay, and
maybe.
And how would that feel? Let's fast forward in time along that particular timeline. And so now you're working in a lab. How would that feel?
It's okay. It might be a bit boring just because of the 9 to 5 kind of routine, but I haven't experienced that, so I don't know. I can't make assumptions, but.
Right. And so what you can decide, and this is the empowering way to look at it, you can decide that whatever destination you end up in as far as career goes, you will love it. And if you don't love it, you'll do something else, or you'll find a way to love it. Because here's the thing, if you're doing something, let's say you're working in a lab, and now labs, depending on if you're interested in what you're doing, I'm assuming it won't be boring because it will be interesting, right?
Yeah.
And you will always have the ability to increase your skills, increase your knowledge, to level up in whatever way feels fun. So you could then go into a speciality, you could do extra studying to go into a particular aspect of whatever this lab is focused on.
Yeah.
So you get to decide, you have the power to go, it doesn't matter where I end up, because I decide, I'll have fun, I'll enjoy it. It'll be interesting for me. And if it's not, then I'll change to something else, or I'll find a way, I'll find something interesting and fun about it.
Okay. Yeah.
How does that feel?
Yeah, that feels, empowering.
Good. And so now think about the exam, and how do you, what happens when you think about the exam now, this one coming up?
It's just like the images of parents coming. Just like just feeling not good enough, and like not getting into basically what's the hardest course to get in the UK at least.
Right. Okay. So and what's the problem with that? What are your parents going to think or do, or why is that a problem?
Don't know. It's judgment.
Judgment. And what does their judgment mean to you?
Or just acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, accepting you. If that makes sense.
Yes, I do. Yes, it does. It makes perfect sense. And so, because of course that survival part of you is trying to please them,
Mm-hmm.
and if they're not going to be pleased, then that's the survival mechanism kicking in. So let's see. So when you think of your parents and whatever results you get, what's the first thing that comes to mind? The first scene or thoughts or feelings or whatever comes to mind when you think of not getting the results you want? Let's put it that way. Not getting in.
It's like disappointment, especially just disappointment with everybody and everybody being disappointed together.
Right. Now I want to remind you of something your dad said not long ago, where he said, as long as you're doing your best, right? Something like that.
Yeah, that's what he said. But he still says that now.
He still says it now.
It wasn't temporary.
So the disappointment thing is not actually real right now. That's coming from the past, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Actually, when I said that, it was the image of last year, like as soon as I got my results, and then I came home and then I showed it to my dad and he just put his hand on his head and was like, what's going to happen with you?
Okay. There you go. So there's one to change.
Just that whole day was horrible.
Right.
Yeah.
And so change that, because that whatever was going on inside him is what caused that reaction, nothing to do with you and your results.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right? So however he reacted, it was about his own beliefs, doubts, emotions at the time. He could have been stressed at the time. He could have been, there could have been all kinds of stuff going on that nobody else knew or you didn't know about. And that could have been just a trigger. Has nothing to do with you and your results. Especially now, he says, as long as you're doing your best.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's a very clear indication that there was stuff going on for him at that time. It wasn't with you.
Okay, so change that memory of last year.
Definitely. And of course, anything before that.
Okay.
Any signs of disappointment or whatever that reaction is before that, make sure you change those and create new memories of him saying what he said a while ago in your childhood.
Oh yeah, I could do that.
You're doing your best, that kind of thing.
I think that's why it came up. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
You got that?
Yeah.
Good job, Swasti. Yay. Very good. Thank you for asking those things. All right. And then Chris, you're next up on my screen. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm very well. I brought somebody along. I've brought the 5 little pigs. This little pig went to market. This little pig stayed home. This little pig, there you go. That's where I am.
Very good. I like that.
I'm in bliss, aren't I?
Very good.
Everything's good. I'm just taking in everything everybody's saying, and oh gosh, learning, absorbing, learning, rethinking, always thinking the next step. So that's so helpful.
Good.
Thank you again, everybody.
Thank you, Chris. Very good. And then Sadia. Hi, Sadia. How are you today?
Hi, everybody. I'm doing okay, great. I was laughing because it was like a little bit ironic hearing Swasti saying that she was concerned of her not being stressed about her upcoming exams, while I have the very opposite concern actually. But it was very funny. Yeah. So I was actually wondering, that might be it might sound like I know there's no question that is stupid, but I was wondering, when we find it difficult to bring down the stress chemicals, is it something that we should say, okay, it's natural to feel stress, or it is not natural, or if we feel stress, that means there are other references, or so I was wondering, is it natural, or there still.
Good question. Very good question, Sadia. And thank you for asking it, because again, this is good for everybody. So first of all, it's natural to feel stress short term for specific things, and then we get over it. And so we're designed for stress for short term. We're designed to be filled with stress chemicals in order to escape danger. And so, like I know Joe Dispenza tells this this story of, you know, a zebra being chased by a lion, and then if the zebra so as the zebra is being chased by the lion, it's your blood is pumped away from the organs to the extremities for running faster. Digestion shuts down, healing shuts down, all things that aren't, all systems that are not essential for getting away in the moment and surviving shut down in order so that all those resources can go to the immediate survival. Now, here's the difference. This is the key of that story. If the zebra gets away from the lion, it shakes, the stress chemicals, you know, cause it to shake, and the stress chemicals come down, and then it goes back to grazing and just living, basically. And it's back to a peaceful state. The difference with us is we have the ability to think about what just happened or what's going to happen, and the brain and body react the same way. So that's where then we end up living in that state. And when we're living in that state, that means our organs aren't getting the blood flow they need. Healing is not happening properly. Cells are not replicating effectively. They're not taking in nutrients because they're in protection mode. And of course, prefrontal cortex is offline. So short-term stress, absolutely. So you could feel, let's say you have to get up and speak in front of people, feeling a little bit nervous, that's normal. But make sure that when you feel that nervousness or that little bit of stress, it's where you put your focus in that moment and the meaning you give to it that's going to determine whether that gets out of hand or whether it's short-lived. So, for example, feeling that stress, feeling that nervousness, and then thinking, what if I make a mistake? What are they going to think? What if I forget what I'm going to say? That's pumping stress chemicals into your system, and then it gets out of hand. But if you feel that nervousness, I'm getting waves of goosebumps as I'm saying it. So you feel the nervousness, you feel the stress, and you think to yourself, it's okay. It's okay to feel this, you know, and I'm so looking forward to getting it done. Or you can think of your favorite color, or you can think of hugging your subject, or you can do the allowing, which means just notice how it feels in your body. So I'm feeling this nervousness, that's interesting. My heart rate is increased. Just allow it to be there. I don't judge it. I don't give it meaning. I certainly don't buy into it. And I don't need to stop it or change it. I can just allow it. It's okay. It's all right. And then, of course, changing any references that relate to that stress, like we were talking about for you with the beatings and that kind of thing, the threat of the beating. So the combination of all of that, does that help?
Yeah, like it's always feel like when you were explaining it, like it's clear and total, like I feel like, you know, my own thing. But when it comes to practice, that's another story.
And that's
yeah, but I'm still grateful for knowing about that, because I went from, you know, vomiting, anxiety, all these things, and be there. Okay, I know it's stress, I know it's all in there, and that I can deal with it. Just the fact of knowing that, it's been really helpful to deal with the anxiety and stress. So thank you.
good.
Putting me on that way of working.
Very good. And so I'm going to give you a big, and it's natural to kind of that when it comes to actually doing it, you forget, or it's not easy to do, or you can't do that. That's absolutely natural, because we've spent our whole lives, you know, doing it one way. So now we want to try and do it differently. That can take a little time and a little practice. Here's a couple of things that will help. Number one, you can, when you start to feel the stress and you think, oh, I'm not sure what to do, or I can't do whatever, watch one of these videos again. Watch this piece. So have this piece of, you know, this section of this video, have it saved from YouTube or whatever, you know, however you do that, and have the link available. so that on your phone or whatever, so that when you start to feel, just start, and you won't even need to watch the whole thing. Just as you start watching it, me explaining it again will help to remind you and help to establish that knowledge that you now have, but that's not quite established yet. That's number one. Number two, the other idea is you can put a post-it note or a little note on your phone or something to remind you. So put a notice, a note on the back of the bathroom door, on the mirror, or on the fridge, or whatever, that says remember, and whatever it is that I've said here that will help you to remember that in the moment, right? That's the second piece. And I've just been thinking over the last couple of days that I'm going to create I'm quite excited about this. I'm going to create an online store of merchandise for the Remit method, with reminders on mugs and t-shirts and posters and what have you. So I'll share that with everyone once we have that, so that will also help to remind in a fun way, cushions and what have you. All right. So does that help, Sadia?
Yes, thank you.
You're very, very welcome. I'm so glad that you asked that as well, because that's really important for so many people. So thank you for that. All right. And Steve, any questions in the chat?
Yes. Good question from Ilja. This goes back to what you were talking about earlier, and I believe it was with Katrina. When nobody can make you feel something, how does it relate to, quote, energy vampires?
Right.
I've gotten very unwell a few times when somebody I didn't know or had seen before just entered the room. It has also happened in houses/rooms.
Yes, what a fantastic question. So thank you, Ilya, for asking this, because again, you're not alone. So energy vampires, let's look at that. And I've been through a lot of that kind of stuff before I found what we do now. So I know quite a bit about it. And what I can tell you is that your superpower state is like a hazmat suit. And as long as you stay in that state of unconditional love and you have the strongest energy in the room, whatever other energy is there is not going to be able to affect you. So you, again, it's empowering because you get to decide. Now, if you're feeling triggered or you're worried about something, that can bring down that state, and then you can be affected by other stuff, other people's energy or their mood or whatever. But if the answer is practice the superpower, practice getting into that empowered state, and you are the strongest. That's the strongest state anyone can be in. It's stronger than any anger, any negativity, anything else. And so we're talking here energetically as well as chemically and physiologically. All right, and mentally. So hopefully that helps. It's all the more reason to practice strengthening up that superpower. Can I unmute you? Absolutely. Let me unmute you. Hi, Ilja. Hey, sweetie.
So there is a difference between, because you've already talked about it before, being an empath, and that's oftentimes that you are very sensitive and on high vigilance because of childhood memories. But this is also an aspect of, like, you can also be affected just energetically by something or someone without the childhood references, and then the superpower comes into place.
Right.
Is that right? Is there a difference, or am I not understanding it?
So you're understanding it completely correctly. And what I think is that very often it's a combination.
Okay.
So, because people who've had the type of childhood where they've been acknowledged and looked at and supported, so they felt loved, they've got plenty of all the affection they needed, all the attention they needed, they felt safe, they were treated with kindness, compassion, and encouragement and support, and all of that as far as I know, now there may be, and if anybody watching this, you know, that's the case, let me know. But as far as I know, there aren't any empaths who have had that kind of childhood. Like I said, I could be wrong. So if there are any exceptions, let me know. To my knowledge, there are no empaths who have had that kind of childhood.
Okay.
No punishments, no feelings of, you know, no stress in their childhood. So I think that part of the part of being an empath, part of picking up other people's energy, other people's feelings, and all of that is the references. So you see someone and you're picking up clues that your conscious mind doesn't see. So you're picking up micro expressions, tones of voice, gestures, those kind of things, and your subconscious is referring to your childhood to go, that means this person's feeling this person's thinking this, whatever that is. So that's part of it. But then the other part that may actually be a smaller amount than we think, I don't know, but is the energetic thing. And that, again, because we're all connected, we know that, and we know that from quantum physics that we can affect matter and other people and all of that. So on that level, you can be affected by energy and you know, and other people's states.
But also places or houses. It's not just
Yes.
it's not just people. It
Right.
can be anything that is, because everything is energy, so it can be anything.
Yes, exactly. Now, so that's true. So let me start with that. Absolutely. And the great news is you don't have to be. So the great news is you can develop your skill of being in that state, and especially before you go somewhere. So if you know you're going to be going somewhere that you usually are affected by, get into that superpower state first, send that unconditional love to that place or that person, fill them with it. So pre-pave that way, and then make sure you're in that state strongly, and so that you walk in with the strongest vibration in the room, regardless of what else is there.
Okay, yeah, that makes so much more sense, because changing your childhood will make you then obviously less sensitive to all of those stuff. But then this energetic part, it makes sense, because it was confusing to me, like, how can this still happen? But then your superpower comes into place. So it's a perfect combination, actually, to change the memories and practice the superpower to be protected in the most optimal way.
Exactly. And Ilja, I'll tell you something. So from my own childhood and teenage years, I was hypersensitive to all kinds of stuff. So I would see things, I would feel things, and I'm getting goosebumps as I'm saying this. And I remember, you know, in boarding school, because it was a very atmospheric school, I would sleepwalk. So I'd wake up halfway down the passage in the middle of the night. There was all kinds of stuff going on, and I was terrified of it, which made me susceptible to it, which made me more vulnerable to experiencing the fear around it. Once I changed that, and I actually changed that kind of presence, the way I did it, because I didn't have what we have now, is I just went, I refused to see or hear or feel anything. And so I just did it that way. But now, certainly, because there's no fear, so it's the fear that can make you susceptible to being affected by it. So now I can walk in, so I can still see energy. I can still see energy. I can still feel energy. I can see people's, the energy around people. I can see all that and see it moving around, but there's no fear, and I'm never negatively affected by it because I'm stronger. My state is stronger.
Yeah, I can still relate to it, and I'm so glad I asked. And yeah, it makes so much more sense now. Thank you.
You're very welcome, and thank you for asking, because again, there will be so many other people who have that question or who are affected and aren't able to ask or haven't had the opportunity to ask. So thank you, Ilja.
Thank you.
All right, very good. And Steve, any other, no other questions?
No, I think we're good.
Fantastic. Let's go into the targeting then. So take a deep breath and either close your eyes or leave them open. And go into that state, that superpower state, however you normally do that, by using your word or phrase, or your anchor, or by focusing on everything you love and appreciate about your subject. Very good. Start to feel your heart opening, that expansion feeling in your chest as you allow that light, that energy to shine out from you. Good job. And now allow that light or energy to spread down to your toes, up to the top of your head, and out to your fingertips. So you're now full of that light, that energy, that love. Very good job. And allow that light or energy to fill your subject. And then imagine your subject doesn't want to be with you or doesn't have the qualities that you love and admire and appreciate. And keep them filled with that light, that energy, that love anyway. Love them anyway, exactly as they are. Good. And now let's go to Lisa. Fill Lisa with that same light, that energy, from the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Lisa just for existing. Very good. And now to Chris. Fill Chris with that same light, that energy, from the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Chris just for existing. And allow that light, that energy to overflow from Chris and fill the worries or anxiety of everyone else, whoever's worried or feeling anxiety, whether that's about the virus, racial unease, the economy, Brexit, international relations, or money worries, whatever's causing those challenges, those worries, that anxiety right now, fill all of that with this light, this energy, this love, shining the light into any darkness. Feeling your power as you do that. And remember, you can aim it at other people's issues to get stronger. Develop that skill. Good job. And now to Katrina. Fill Katrina with that same light, that energy. From the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Katrina just for existing. Very good. And now to Swasti. Fill Swasti with that same light, that energy, from the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Swasti just for existing. And allow that light, that energy to overflow from Swasti and fill her brother from the tips of his toes to the top of his head and out to his fingertips. Fill Swasti's little brother with the same light, this energy. And then allow this light or energy to fill Swasti's brother's nose, which has a polyp. Fill his nose and the polyp with the same light, this energy, this love, exactly as it is, without needing it to change, without judgment. Shining this light into any darkness and loving it all anyway, exactly as it is. Very good. And now to Sadia. Fill Sadia with the same light, this energy. From the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Sadia just for existing. Very, very good. Good job. And now allow that light, that energy to fill everyone who's off camera today and everyone who's watching the recording. Love each one just for existing. Filling them all with this light, this energy, exactly as they are and no matter what. Good job. And now allow that light, that energy to fill yourself later today, whatever you'll be doing, whatever you'll be feeling or experiencing, fill that version of you with this light, this energy, this love, exactly as you are, and no matter what. And surge. And surge again. Very, very good. All right, you can open your eyes if you have them closed, and hopefully that was helpful. And keep practicing, keep looking after yourselves, keep prioritizing taking care of yourselves and practicing developing this skill. All right, very good. And of course, do share our videos when you can. We really, really appreciate that. So look after yourselves. We'll see you back tomorrow, same time, same place. Lots of love to you all. Bye-bye now.